Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Tastefully Balanced. I'm Miriam, and for today's summer recipe, I wanted to share with you a spin on a classic cheeseburger recipe. This is actually going to be cheeseburger meatballs with spaghetti. I know, a little weird, but just hear me out. It's absolutely delicious. You get that same cheeseburger flavor, but in a spaghetti. So if you guys love cheeseburgers during the summertime, please subscribe and keep watching. All right, welcome back. So the first thing I'm doing is cooking up some of my vegetables that will go in my meatballs. So I heated up a large frying pan with a little bit of avocado oil and then added in a diced small onion and then a few cloves of garlic. I just kind of roughly chopped it because I kind of like that garlicky flavor. So if you don't like it, make sure and just mince your garlic instead. But I just fried that up for a few minutes just until it got a little bit of color on them, and then I added a cup of diced mushrooms. I just used up all the mushrooms that I had that I got from my Costco haul a couple weeks ago, and it was good. I just made sure all the mushroom was really cooked down, and then when it was ready, I set that aside and worked on my meatballs. So here I have a pound of ground turkey, a little bit of cheese, some pickles, breadcrumb, 1 egg, and I'm adding salt and pepper. Of course, all the ingredients and the amount will be listed in the description box under my recipe. And then this is the weird part, but I added a little bit of mustard because I do love my cheeseburgers with ketchup and mustard. And then I added in my sauteed mushroom and onions that I just made. And ideally you want to wait until they kind of cool down, but I was a little impatient and I just wanted to get going with dinner and making my meatballs. So I just added it and it was fine. I used a glove and just mixed everything up really, really well. You really want to get in there, so I suggest just grabbing a pair of gloves if you want and then just really using your fingers to do this part because otherwise you just don't get everything really well incorporated. And then I took a 1/8 cup measuring cup and divided it into 2 meatballs. So 1/8 cup equals 2 meatballs. This roughly gave me about 25 small meatballs, which is great for a whole entire pot of spaghetti in my opinion. So just went and formed all of my meatballs, had a little bit left over that I just threw in my air fryer actually, and then I just sprayed it a little bit with avocado oil, and then I just put it in the oven at 400 degrees for about 15 minutes, and then I broiled it for an additional 5 minutes. And then on the side, I cooked up some whole wheat spaghetti that I'm now putting back into that same pan that I cooked the onions and mushrooms in. And then you really can just do whatever you want for a sauce. I really wanted to use this spicy chunky tomato pepper sauce that I just got from Trader Joe's just to see what it was and what the flavor was, and I'm a fan. I did add a little bit of some garlic herb salt because I feel like it just needed a little bit of salt, and honestly, if I sauteed up some onions, some garlic, added a little bit of seasoning, and then added the salt, it would have taken this sauce to just another level. But it was still really good, and it has a little bit of a kick, nothing crazy at all, but just the right amount if you want to just kind of get with everyone's spice level. So just mixed in that sauce, and then my meatballs were ready. Look at how nice and gorgeous that looks. It's just, oh, I just love meatballs. But I added it to my spaghetti and then kind of just gave everything a good mix. But just be careful because they are still a little bit fragile. You probably want to let it cool down a tiny bit before you add it straight into your pot of spaghetti, just so it gives it a little bit of time to release the juices, get a little bit harder, a little bit firmer, and easier to work with. But really that was it. You can garnish it with a little bit of parsley. I didn't have any, so I just left it as is, and I just served it for dinner in a bowl. I put some spaghetti, added a little bit of the meatballs, and that was dinner. It was absolutely delicious. I just love you bite into it and it's got chunks of the cheese in it, and yeah, It was absolutely delicious. Highly, highly recommend. All right, there you guys go. That is my cheeseburger meatball and spaghetti recipe. A little bit of a twist on a classic cheeseburger recipe, but I absolutely loved it. It's so unique, and I just love the flavor that the pickles and the cheese gives off in the meatballs. So definitely loving this recipe, and we'll be making it a ton more going into the fall season. So anyways, if you guys love meatballs and like this spin on meatballs, please comment, like, share, and subscribe. And as always, live life tastefully balanced.